Warning, what you will see in the movie Pieces cannot be revealed, cannot be described, cannot even be imagined. And you don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre. Pieces, it's exactly what you think it is. Pieces. Absolutely no one under 17 will be admitted.
Hey guys, this is Communications. Welcome to my review of Pieces. Pieces is a 1982 horror slasher flick directed by Juan Piquer Simon, and this is the same director who directed Slugs, which I had fun with, and he also directed Endless Descent, one of the numerous underwater horror films that came out in the year 1989. It's also known as The Rift. And regrettably, yes, he also directed The Pod People, which is like one of the worst films, like an absolutely terrible E.T. ripoff. Now, this is definitely one of his better films. Now, I'm going to say was this a great movie? No, but it was fun though. It was entertaining. I definitely would say I enjoyed Pieces. Now, would I say it's one of my favorite slasher films? No, but definitely one of the better ones. I think it's because it never really took itself too seriously, even though at points when it's like it tried to have a balance between the two, like seriousness and over the top, silly, bad acting and unintentional hilarity, as well as some really solid makeup effects. But when it tried to be really serious, it really didn't work. Like, it tried to be some sort of a mystery, and I just thought the mystery aspect of the film was really boring for me. But whenever basically whenever the film decided to spill some blood and guts, then it was pretty much, a blast and a half to watch. But whenever it tried to stray away from that and the killer isn't, killing co-eds, it gets kind of slow. But that's pretty much the same thing that goes with a lot of slasher movies. But at least this has, a lot of good gore that is actually worth, the price of admission, so to speak. Anyway, the film basically starts out in the past. It starts out in 1942. And you have this little kid, and his mom's giving him shit because he finds out that he's putting together a dirty puzzle, which was basically a naked chick, puzzle of a, Playboy Playmate, and she's like, what is this filth? And the kid, she tries to get rid of the puzzle and get rid of all, the filth from her home, so to speak. And you know how the kid responds? The kid responds back by grabbing an axe and giving his mother 40 whacks. Basically cutting her into pieces. And then, the film then takes place years later. And the mystery of the kid is still unknown. Who is the kid? And, he's obviously still among us, but he's older. And he still has an obsession with this dirty puzzle. So I like the fact that the film basically puts in sequences of the killer piecing together the puzzle, before every time he goes out to kill some more college kids. Now, the film basically takes place on a college campus, and the killer's going around killing co-eds, killing chicks with a chainsaw. And like there's one of the taglines for the film is, it's exactly what you think it is. And it really is. It's Pieces. A lot people, college girls, hot, young, nubile, teenage, but not really. They're supposed to be somewhat in their teens, but you can tell they're a little bit older than that. But they're still hot and still hot to trot. And they end up getting, cut into pieces. Because the killer basically wants to create his mother again. So he does that by cutting up a bunch of, teenagers or whatever, bodies and pieces them together. Now, the look of the killer in the film, in the trivia on IMDb, it basically says, and the director even said this, it's inspired by The Shadow. So, yeah, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of nubile young co-eds? The killer knows as soon as I cut their heart out. No, but anyway, yeah, so I definitely can see The Shadow sort of, origins of the killer, but I also it kind of reminds me of the Phantom of the Opera a little bit, and a little bit of Darkman as well. But before this was made in 1982, so it was way before England's Phantom of the Opera or Darkman. Now, the killer, he has this tendency to breathe super heavy. So like he's such a heavy breather that I swear to God you could hear him coming a mile away. He's all like, it's like walking really slowly. It's like it just totally reminded me of the Breather, the killer from the slasher movie parody Student Bodies, which was released a year before this. And I'm just like, wow, the Breather has returned. So anyway, you basically have this killer, heavy breather guy. He's going around killing girls, and the most ridiculous fashion, really. There's a girl who's just sitting in the, laying in the park studying, and he walks up with a chainsaw. He's dressed up in a trench coat and a hat, looking all suspicious, and she's like, "Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Oh, you're just working on the. Could you keep it down? Could you keep it down? Because I'm trying to study." And he promptly cuts her to pieces. Catches some girl in a pool, cuts her to pieces. Catches some chick, chick doing aerobics with, earlier he was watching her, and this, I don't know why he wanted to watch her, because she was listening to like one of the worst, techno new wave songs I've ever heard. Sounded like, a robot, with, not really, I'm trying to, it sounded like, it just sounded horrible. I can't even come up with the right word to explain the soundtrack in that one scene. It just was awful. But anyway, he basically follows her later at night, and he corners her in an elevator, and somehow he manages to hide a chainsaw behind his back. She doesn't notice it, and he walks into this elevator, which is like really small, and he's able to start the chainsaw and cut her arm off. So the movie has that, basically is that type of movie, folks, where where the killer defies the laws of physics. And then the movie also has, bad dubbing, some really lame dialogue, unintentional hilarious moments, basically people's reactions, so to speak, to the killer, or the killer's heavy breathing, or the way that he basically plays loud college music over the intercom to basically drown out the screams of one girl he cuts up brutally in the shower, which is actually really well done. I mean, the makeup effects in this are really good, so it definitely has a lot of good gore, and the fact the movie's only like 85 minutes, that helps the film as well. And then basically, my favorite kill though in the film is when the killer finds this girl, and she's on a waterbed. For some reason, there's a waterbed, and I guess it's in a college dorm, and he corners her in there, and he stabs her. And he's stabbing the waterbed as well. So then her blood mixes with the water in the waterbed, and that's shot really well. And eventually he kills her by stabbing her through the back of her head. And that, I mean, I thought it was on the back cover here, but I guess it's on a different. It's right here, because this is the booklet. It's that sequence right there. Stabs her right through her back of her head. So I thought that was a pretty well done effect sequence. And basically, when you find the film, basically is well known for its absolutely shocking, ball breaking ending. And I mean literally ball breaking. But first off, it deals with trying to find out who the killer is, and before I get into that, talk about the cast. I'm surprised that, I'm going backwards here, folks. The film stars Christopher George, Lynda Day George, Frank Brana, Edmund Purdom, and Paul L. Smith, Ian Sera, and Jack Taylor. And, I didn't mind Christopher George. Christopher George basically plays the Lieutenant Bracken, who's trying to figure out who's the killer. Lynda Day George basically plays an undercover cop who poses as a tennis instructor to help get extra information on this killer who's going around killing, co-eds on the college campus. And ultimately, you have this other guy named Frank Brana, who I think that's the actor who plays this kid on the college camp. No, it's Sergeant Holden. I think it's Ian Sera. Yeah, Ian Sera's Kendall James. And they're thinking that he's the killer because he was in the same place when the girls were getting killed, but ultimately you find out that's not the case. And ultimately, at the end of the movie, you find out that it's Edmund Purdom. He's the killer. And Edmund Purdom was creepy and good casting when he was playing the killer, but he was just a boring dean. He was just very boring. Edmund Purdom was one of those actors that, okay, he's got ability, but for me, it's not really one of my favorite actors. He's got this British accent that is the type of British accent that tends to make me doze off. It was very dry, and it's really not. And I thought his acting really wasn't the greatest, other than when he was trying to play, when he was being truly psychotic. When he revealed his true identity, it was, you know, after he drugged Lynda Day George, made her paralyzed, and was about to cut her up. You know, that's when I think he really showed some really strong acting, when he was actually being a killer. But when he isn't, it's just very forgettable, in my opinion. Along with a lot of the other cast members. This is not a movie you go into looking for acting, because the acting is not the greatest in this. But the film isn't really, since the film has not very many moments in between, you know, I don't think it drags too much waiting for the next kill. There's a lot of kills in it. There's a lot, I mean, a decent amount of them, you know, and they're definitely satisfying. They're not, you know, cutaway. There's one cutaway shot, but there's other shots where you definitely do see the bloody, you know, see everything in its, you know, glorious, gory, you know, goodness, so to speak. And definitely it was released at the height of the slasher craze in the early 80s, so the censors weren't as bad as they are now. So they were able to get away with a little bit more. But still, the film, like I said, it's just, when it doesn't have kill scenes going on, it kind of slowed down for me. But it doesn't mean I don't like the movie. And so basically what happens is, when you find out Edmund Purdom, you know, basically reveal, you know, the whole big reveal, he's the killer. The cops come in along with Kendall, and he gets shot in the head. You think it's over, and then, you know, it's a double scare, and it's basically what happens, like a double, you know, shock ending, where, you know, basically Kendall bumps up against a bookcase, and the body that's, you know, has all the sewed up pieces of all the co-eds falls out on top of him, and of course you're like, oh shit, you know, that's got to be it. You know, I saw that one coming, so that one didn't really do anything for me. But this one, oh my god, man, my balls hurt just thinking about this scene. So basically what happens is, the ending of the movie is infamous for a reason. For anybody who's heard of Pieces, they basically usually remember this ending, or have at least heard of it. And what happens is, Kendall's just walking around, oh thank god it's over, and then somehow the body, you know, that he put together with all the dead, you know, the cut up college girls, the arm comes to life and grabs Kendall in the, you know, in the fucking balls. Just grabs him right by the balls and the dick and just fucking crushes him. Crushes his balls and, like, rips his dick off. Like, you don't see it, but, you know, it's not like, you know, cut a dick in half, like, you know, cutter balls or anything like that. But it just, you see it though, and it's enough, and that every guy who's seen this movie, totally, it was just a reflex action. I just automatically was holding my groin, like, oh, ow, ah, and just, I mean, damn, I mean, that shock ending took a lot of balls, you know, to actually shoot. So I mean, that's like every man's worst nightmare. You know, just get fucking castrated. And just like, ah! You're like, oh, shit. Oh, man. So, that's the most memorable thing about the movie, in my opinion, is the ball-ripping ending. Other than that, some good gore. Some absolutely hilarious moments. They're just randomness. Like, you know, Bruce Lee, you know, a random, you know, an actor that the director was directing, like a Bruce Lee ripoff movie, and he basically gave him a little role, so he shows up as such a he's just a martial arts instructor who shows up and scares the shit out of Lynda Day George. just yeah, it's totally absurd. Ultimately, it's kind of like a little bit kind of like Blood Diner in that respect, you know, put things, you know, get body parts to create one, you know, big, you know, body puzzle, so to speak. And it's a little bit less corny, I would say, though. But it's then Blood Diner. But at the same time, it's still got a good amount of corn or cheese. But overall, I still enjoyed Pieces. I mean, that ending is unforgettable. You know, so I definitely have to give it a lot of praise in that regard. I enjoyed it. Decent casting. I mean, nothing was really spectacular around the board. But the kills were good. Pacing was good. It was only, you know, an hour and a half, and Damn, I gotta give credit to that ending. That is a doozy. But anyway, folks, I really don't know what to say except for them to rate it out of 5 stars. I'm gonna give it 3.5. So thanks for watching my review of Pieces, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.